Hi, everybody, wherever you may be, from coast to coast and sea to shining sea. Welcome back to the Shack in Oregon. This is Ham Radio Live. Thank you so much for subscribing. Around the world means a lot because it helps people find the channel here on YouTube that, could have an interest in ham or shortwave radio. Today's good show. We're going to talk about the importance of using a remote antenna tuner and just how much you can lose by not doing so. Yep, this should be pretty good. Plus, we'll have today's forecast and some ham news and some neat products to show you. Hope you have a wonderful Monday. Today is June 7th, 2021, and I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so much for coming. Sorry for the late start. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's so good to see you guys, wherever you may be. First in the house from Great Britain, my good friend, my mate, Andy Cowley. Andy, every time I see you, it's a pleasure. I want you to know that. That's very sincere from me. Thanks for coming today, all the way from Great Britain. Good to see you, man. Truly good. Yep. Big show today. Should be fun. Really good about antenna, feed loss, all that stuff. So it'll be a good show. I hope you enjoy it. It'll hope to help you understand the importance of using a remote antenna tuner for multi-band verticals or, dipoles that you're using out there in the field that you might want to get the very most out of, and just how much power you could lose out of it. Hope you're good as well, Andy. Thank you for joining the show. If you'd like to go into amateur radio, you've always maybe thought about it. Perhaps you're a DXer somewhere in the world. You love to listen to stations from far away, and you've wondered what it might be like to be a ham. We would love to have you in ham radio. It's not a nerdy hobby. It's a wonderful hobby. In fact, I got to tell you, for me, it's been the most enjoyable thing in the world. I've met people from all over the world and made great friendships, people I never would have known if I didn't do ham radio. I invite you to take that step. You will love this. It's such a great hobby, guys. It's just wonderful. Start by contacting any one of these radio groups around the world. First of all, the American Radio Relay League can help you at www.arrl.org. They're out of Newark, Connecticut, and just hit the contact us bar. They'll help you. In Japan, the Japan Amateur Radio League can be found at jarl.org. In Great Britain, the Radio Society of Great Britain is a wonderful group, and they'll help you. They're very, very organized. We'll have a great news story from them today, by the way. Find them at www.rsgb.org. Up in Canada, the Radio Amateurs of Canada can be found at www.rac.ca. And in more wonderful mates in Australia, where it's fall now and getting to be winter, but still, if you're like in Sydney, it's okay, but you get down south towards Hobart, it's cold in Tasmania. Contact the Wireless Institute of Australia at www.wia.org. Welcome to the show, everybody. If you'd like to email the show, say hello, maybe have a comment, or possibly a question about a product, please feel free and hit me up at cqhamradiolive@gmail.com. Welcome to today's show, everybody. The 7th of June, 2021, and a wonderful day to see all of you. Kevin is here from Great Britain. Mike Zero, Mike Charlie Lima. Kevin, hello. Welcome. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for coming, man. What a joy it is. That's great to see you. Got a trivia question today. I think you guys can get this. Yeah, you can get this one. What does MOSFET stand for? Is it MU, operated semiconducting field effect transistor? Is it a B? Is it metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor? Is it C, metal on silicon Faraday effect transducer? Or is it D, a memory operated semiconductor field effect transistor? Whew, that took a lot to say all of that. Pick one of the four, I should say, A, B, C, or D. Let me know what your answer is, and we'll let you know what the big old story is. Field Day is coming. Yep, just a few weeks away, June 26th and June 27th. They have some great gear there. Find that at www.arrl.org. They'll help you with all of that. Pretty cool stuff. The DIRC has a great antenna book. This is really good. Rothamel's antenna book. There's some great projects here that have been written up in German, and they're really good antennas, really good, that you can build yourself. I think you'd like it. Find that on the DARC website. I believe this one is 49 euros. So that's what you can do with the antenna book there in Germany. Good book. In Great Britain, we got some news. Bo, Oscar Zulu 1, Delta Juliet Juliet is going to be active as Oscar X-ray 3 Lima X-ray from Greenland. Yeah. starting tomorrow through the 10th of July. Plans to operate mainly on the 6 and 4 meter bands from several locations along the southwest coast of Greenland. Operations will be in spare time, which is typically around lunch, after dinner, as well as early and late sessions at weekends. QSL via Logbook of the World. Club log is OQRS or direct to Oscar Zulu 0 Juliet. Lars Sierra Mike 6 Charlie Union Kilo is going to be active holiday style as Sierra Alpha 6 Golf /7 from Venn Island. That's going to be kind of cool, right? That's going to be his call sign, by the way. It's going to be Echo Uniform 137. It's going to be between June 7th and June 12th. He's going to operate CW on the 40 to 10 meter bands. QSL is going to be via Sierra Mike 6, Charlie Union Kilo, and Logbook of the World. You can find more of this information here on the RSGB website. Plus, Gary, this is cool. November Charlie 3 Zulu is going to be active as Victor Papa 2 Victor / November Charlie 3 Zulu from Tortola, British Virgin Islands, NA23. Yep, that's a cool one to get for Islands of the World, right? Going to be doing this from till the 14th of June. So you can find Gary until June 14th. He's going to operate sideband and on the FT modes. QSL via Logbook of the World. RSGB also has a great antenna book, portable antennas for everyone. Yep. This is not very expensive either. 50 antennas. Yes, count them, 50, from 80 to 70 cents right there in that antenna book. And it's cheap as chips. You'll get this at the RSGB website. Okay, good stuff there. Solar news coming up. We've got some news. Today may be the best day of the week for ham and shortwave both. Here's why. All right, solar activity is pretty quiet, but now we're starting to see it spike. We're up to a K3 now. So what's happening is that we've got a small new sunspot, and it's forming in the southwest quadrant of the sun. It's a coronal hole beginning to face Earth over the next few days. Geomagnetic enhancement, KP4, will be possible beginning tomorrow. More updates in days ahead. We'll let you know on that. That's courtesy of solarham.com. Current conditions, SFI is finally at 80. How about that? We're finally SFI 80. Oh my gosh. Like took forever. The problem is the K-index has risen to 3, and it shows around the world right now. A-index is at 5. You can see 6 and 4 meter E-skips available. It's showing 80 to 40 as poor and fair. Fair for tonight, 30 and 20, fair in both areas. And they're relating, I believe, just because of the current conditions with a geomagnetic field. However, I still think you'll get 20 tonight. I really do. World map for for noise floors around the world. Starting in Japan, we've added Japan today. 40 meters is S2, 20 is S2. In Russia, 40 meters S3, S3 on 20. We've got a pair of threes, S3s on 40 and 20 meters out of China. Australia is the S3s both on 20 and 40. In New Zealand, S2 on 40 meters, S1 on 20. If we move over to Europe, in England, S3s on 20 and 40, S2 on 40 in Germany, S2 on 20. No report out of Africa today. North America is all over, from South Texas all the way to the northern Yukon, S3s there. In Hawaii, we've got S3 on 40, S1 on 20. Quiet in South America as well, S1 on 40, S1 on 20 in Brazil. Argentina, out of Buenos Aires, S3 on 40, S1 on 20. It's kind of going between 2 and 1, to be honest with you. So it's almost like an S1.5. Yeah, to be honest. But noise floors a little lower today than they were yesterday. They were just a titch lower, but they are expected to rise, right? Maximum usable frequency currently around the world. This is current information. Currently, Athens, Greece, still at 16.87. That's almost in the middle of the evening there. So that gives you a good idea that 20 should be workable this evening. Yep, it should be. Boulder, Colorado, not much higher, 17.45. Alaska's a little below 16 megahertz. Ascension Island, 9.69. Herman's in South Africa is 8.67. Darwin, Australia at 6.55. The forecast for today, ham and shortwave bands, 20 and 17 should be fine. I don't think you'll see 15 today. I think it's just a little, it's just not going to work. We just don't have enough for 15. E-skip opportunities should open up on 10. We should see E-skip on 4 and 6 meters. CW and data, folks, you're solid from 40 to 4 meters. Ham nighttime frequencies, 160, 70, and 85, 60, 40, 30, and I think a 90% chance of single sideband on 20 meters. Really, the only thing that's going to stop it is if the coronal hole that's coming around is going to hit Earth, because the way the wind's blowing right now from the solar solar flux, it's just blowing it towards Earth right now in a way that it could disrupt us on HF. So I don't know if it's going to happen that way. I still think 20 is going to be good tonight. Shortwave, 31, 25, 22, 19, and 16 meters. Nighttime frequencies for our shortwave friends around the world: 120, 90, 75, 60, 49, 41, 31, 22, and I think a possibility today on 19 meters. That's your ham forecast and your ham radio news. Welcome to the show. It's good to see you. Happy June 7th. Let's catch up with everybody. There's a lot of people that came. My goodness. Hello to Nikolai. Good evening to you. Nikolai's all the way in Romania. Nikolai, it's great to see you. I just noticed I'm pretty dark here, aren't I? Sorry. No. Oh my gosh, you can see his face now. How about that? That's great. Rod Clare, welcome back, buddy. Happy Monday to you. South Salem, Oregon. Rod's call sign, Kilo 7, Lima, Alpha Papa. Hi, Rod. Great to see you, man. Scott's here. I look forward to this every time. Hold on, here we go. You almost need a drum roll for this. This is so cool. How's everybody today? Speaking of today is a yesterday we will think about tomorrow. Scott, you're brilliant. That's great. Kilo Charlie 2, Charlie Alpha Delta. Today is the yesterday we will think about tomorrow. That's awesome, man. JJ, Jeff is here. Good to see you. Today is exactly 2 days before the day after tomorrow. You're right about that. We're getting deep today, guys. We're getting awful deep, man. Martin, just back from work in Holland. Papa Echo 9, Tango India Golf. Martin, it's a pleasure and honor to see you. Thank you. All right, we're going to show you the importance of using a remote tuner. Now, most people just have a desktop tuner. I do one myself right here. It's the MFJ 998. But they also make a lot of remote tuners. Now, the reason why you want a remote tuner is honestly because if you have an antenna that's not resonant, okay, and you try to just run coax from there, say you run the ballon, right? You've got the ballon, the line isolator, and then you run the coax to your shack. The problem is you're running so much SWR through that coax between the antenna and your shack that barely any power is getting out because so much of it is getting absorbed in the ground as heat. Let me show you some numbers here. Flagpole antenna from Grayline Performance on 40 meters, on 75, right at the mark of 75, 80 meters. So technically 3750 is right at 80 meters. Okay, the return loss 16 dB. Okay, so we're way up on SWR. 40 meters, 16 dB of return loss, way up on SWR. That's right in the middle of the voice portion of 40 meters. On 20, middle of the voice portion on 40, return loss of 17 dB. Okay, so this would be unusable, really. And the reason why is because you have such high numbers here that the amount of SWR that's kicking back to your radio will not work. Now, you could use a external tuner, and that could make the difference up. But the problem when you do that is when you do that, what you have is a high amount of SWR coming from the antenna to the radio or to your tuner. Let's say it's to your external tuner. It's a tremendous amount of SWR. The impedance is so off that it's literally bouncing back and forth, and much of it radiating as heat and not much going out over your antenna. There's a reason why this antenna has worked all the way to Spain and to New Zealand and to the Cook Islands. There's a reason. It's because of the MFJ 998 RT. That's it in its configuration right at my flagpole antenna. Now, MFJ also makes a 926B for lower power, people that don't need the full, QRO. And they also have a 994 BRT. This is a great remote tuner. The BRT 994 is 600 watts. The 993 is your antenna if you want to use it at 400 watts. So 993 is 300 watts. 994 is going to be at 600 watts. Now, the importance of using this is so important. It really is, okay? These things can match impedances from 12 to 1600 ohms, and they have over 20,000 virtual antenna memories. All you got to do is key your transmitter. The antenna through the bias T automatically will tune. That's how it works. This thing is it's like plug and play. Really is. MFJ's instant recall checks to see if that frequency's been used before. If so, tuning is instantaneous. If not, the MFJ IntelliTune algorithm just makes it happen quickly. I mean, and this thing has worked brilliantly for me. You've seen it. It's worked all over the world. If the antenna impedance is outside the tuner's measurement range, MFJ's adaptive search algorithm measures that frequency and determines only relevant component values, which are then searched for fast tuning. Now, this is amazing. This antenna tuner has been phenomenal to me. You can also download and upgrade remotely to it. So if MFJ puts out an update for this tuner, you can do it. It's field programmable firmware via the serial port that's right on the tuner. Download and upgrade it right to your MFJ product. Pretty fantastic thing, really is. And it's been brilliant for me. I mean, that's the reason why the Gray Line Performance antenna has worked. I mean, if you want an antenna that your neighbors don't know is a ham radio antenna, absolutely do not know, that antenna is the one. The Gray Line Performance flagpole antenna. It's just a flagpole. I mean, it's brilliantly all it is. Now, electrically, it's an off-center fed dipole. One side of the feeder line goes to the upper portion of the flagpole. The other end goes to the bottom portion. So off-center fed. But what's brilliant about it is it just works. Now, but if you use the VSWR at the flagpole, you can't use it. Because you're using an external tuner, however, you're going to get the most out of that antenna. You really will. And your neighbors won't even know it's a ham radio antenna. Let me show you why it's important to use a tuner at the antenna versus using one in your shack, okay? If you look at return loss and visual SWR table, all right? Let's take a look at this, okay? If you have basically an infinite number, like you saw on the chart that you saw on my tuner, all right? You're basically getting nothing back to the antenna. If you're at 17 to 1, you're getting 20% of the power to the tuner. If you're at 9 to 1, 37% of the power's into the antenna. At 6 to 1, 50-50, all right? If you're at 3 to 1, you're getting 75%. So 100 watts, you now get 75 watts, pardon me. If you're at 2.3 to 1, now you've got 84 watts out of that 100 watts. And at 2 to 1, you're getting 90%. That's the cool part. So if you go all the way to, let's say, 1.4 to 1, 97% to 1, that's 97% of your power. So 97 watts out of 100, 1.2 to 1, you're getting 99% out. That's the importance of using a remote tuner. Why? Now, you might say, well, I could put it in my shack and do the same thing. No, you can't. You can't. And here's the reason why you can't. Because on your coaxial cable, no matter what you're using, unless you're using hardline, you're going to have a problem with SWR because the flagpole or any vertical that's a multi-band, antenna is going to have a problem with SWR. And because it's bouncing this back and forth from your tuner in your shack to the antenna outside, you're just going to end up with a lot of heat. And it really depends on your feeder line. Let's take a look at RG8X, for example. All right. If you're using RG8X, 50 feet of it on 20 meters with a 3 to 1 SWR, 82 watts go out. So 82 watts goes out. Okay. So now you get your 82 watts. Okay. And if you're using, let's say, I don't know, let's say you're all of a sudden now at let's say you're at 2 to 1. Let's say you get to 2 to 1. You can use your solid state amplifier. Let's leave it at 2 to 1. So at 2 to 1, you've got 90% of the power going to the antenna. So of 100 watts, 90% go out. All right. So 90% goes out, but you're using RG8X. Now you got 82 out of 100 watts going out. You see the problem? Because the feeder line isn't very great, you've got a lot of loss in the line. There's 18 watts lost right there. Plus you've also lost from the mismatch at the antenna. Okay, so literally, if you're at 1.2 to 1, you're fine. But let's say again at 2 to 1, we were at 2 to 1 before. Remember, 90%. So 90 watts goes out. Now you lose another 18 watts. You see where you're at? 90 plus 18, 72. You're now losing. So you got 72 watts out of 100, and you've got an SWR of 2 to 1. Let's use LMR 400 for the same thing. 20 meters, 3 to 1. You're getting 91.8 watts out with LMR 400. That's the difference between using quality feed line and not using quality Feedline, the cheap stuff. If you're using, again, RG8X, 50 feet, 14.225, so right in the middle of the voice portion of 20 meters, 2 to 1, 85.75 watts gets out. That's the difference. It's huge. It's just huge. LMR 400, 93 watts out of that 100 watts gets out, 93.6. So literally you're using 6.4 watts out. That's how much is put out in heat, okay? So if you got mismatched, your mismatched antenna, and then you put a cheaper brand of coax on it, you're just creating a mess unless you have a remote tuner, because the remote tuner, what it's going to do is it's going to take your feed line and it's going to make it as resonant as possible. You see, by tuning it at the antenna, it sends it up a good coax, LMR 400. Don't go for the RG8X. Don't go for the lower stuff. I know it's cheaper, but Feedline is the one thing you don't replace in your antenna, in your whole shack. You'll change radios, you'll change antennas, but you won't change your Feedline. If you get good Feedline, you'll hold on to it. So get the good stuff, at least LMR 400. And that's the reason why, because the losses are huge if you don't do it. Let's take a look at 40 meters, right? If you're on RG8X, 40 meters, and let's give you the 2 to 1, all right? 2 to 1. Here you are in the middle of 40 meters. If you're in Japan or in England, this is right in the middle of the phone band, right? 2 to 1, 100 watts, 89 watts. So you lose about 10 watts. Let's say 10 if you're using RG8X, okay? If you run LMR 400, you only lose like 4.5 watts. You're at 95 watts. This is for 50 feet at the middle of 40 meters for voice. It's a huge, huge class. It's just a giant difference between RG8X and LMR 400. Truly is. So the whole point here is when you're using a remote tuner versus using the tuner inside your shack, there's a huge difference in what you can accomplish with your radio. You get a lot more power out because if you're trying to tune it to shack, it already has, if you have a bad SWR, like you're using the flagpole, and you saw my numbers with my Zoom, they weren't the greatest. On 80, we were at 16 dB of loss. On 40, we were also at, I think, 16 dB of loss and way up on SWR. On 20, 17 dB of loss, same exact issue. So you have that kind of loss that's sitting there at your antenna, right? And then you run up your coax. You're already overdriving your coax. Your coax is going crazy because it's just not able to do it. You're not able to get power out because so much of it is just lost in heat. That's why the remote tuner needs to be at the antenna. It makes all the difference in the world. When you get a remote tuner and you put it right at a multi-band vertical outdoors, say for example, like I did at my flagpole, okay? If you do that, you'll end up with more power out and you'll make great calls. That's the way that I was able to reach Spain with the flagpole antenna, New Zealand with it, and the Cook Islands. Both Spain and the Cook Islands, about 5,500 miles. New Zealand, 7,500. And Ron's report there in New Zealand was at a 5.5. He said there was no difference in antennas when I moved to the flagpole. So when you're going to use a multi-band vertical, you can save a ton of money and a ton of trouble by putting your tuner at the antenna. You will, because you're not losing all that in heat. It makes a tremendous difference, friends, really does. Thanks for coming today. Appreciate y'all being here. Yep. MFJ 998, that's your full power tuner. So if you want to use your, let's say, ALS 1306, your KPA 1500, maybe you want to use your ACOM amp or whatever, your full power QRO, you can do it. And most of that power is going to go out of the antenna. If you don't have one of those amplifiers, maybe you got an ALS 606, you got 600 watts, hey, go for one of the lower antenna tuners, like say the 994 BRT. It'll handle 600 watts. Put it at the antenna. You'll make it shine. You'll get your power output, and man, oh man, will you be one happy camper. That's how you make a multi-band antenna really good and get all the power you can out of it, really, by just putting the tuner out at the antenna. And I haven't seen many people on YouTube actually show this and the reason why it should be done. That's the reason why I'm doing this today. So let me show you a couple more numbers That'll blow you away. Let's take a look at 10 to 1. Using the best coax you can buy without buying, the big stuff, the non-bendable, known as, hardline. So LMR 400, 10 to 1 SWRs. This is really bad. Right in the middle of 40 meters. Okay, again, the good stuff. Okay, you're losing 16 watts out of 100. All right, so 84.12 out of 1,000 watts. If you're running 1,000, about 840 watts is only going out. All right, so if you're running at 5 to 1, okay, look at this. 81.1 watts goes out of that 100 watts. See, there's a huge difference. Huge difference. RG8X, 3 to 1, 89 watts. LMR 400, 3 to 1, 94 watts. There's you see the correlation. It's huge. And there's a big reason why you want to use the best quality feed line you can. And there's a great reason why you need a remote tuner if you're going to build antennas that are going to be multi-bands or outside. You could literally run a multi-band antenna vertical at just about any feet you want. You want 20 feet, 24, 30, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, just run it. Just do it. If you want to put some feeder into a hollow pole and then stick it up, work field day, you could do that. Just use a remote tuner right there at the site. That way you're not going to be multiplying all that SWR mismatch, and you're going to have a brilliant performing antenna, and you'll have the results I've had here. And I have been phenomenally impressed by using this because of the MFJ 998. Brilliant. Brilliant. 998 RT. I have both. I have the 998 desktop and I have the 998 RT, and they're both do the same thing. But one thing I've noticed about the RT is it actually works quickly. It just works so doggone fast. And part of that is because the way it powers up, it powers through the coax, through the bias T. You have to turn it on. Once you turn it on, the tuner is active. And once you key your mic, you're going. It's just a fantastic product. MFJ 998 or the 994, whatever. They're great. They're great stuff. Go get one. Good for your summer field day stuff. Let's catch up with your comments. Sounds pretty good. Gunter, we had Tom in the house. Tom, welcome from Bahrain. It's good to see you, man. Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey. And you know what? I have really, truly thought about you a lot today. It's great to see you. And I hope you get home to Bulgaria soon. I really do. Yep. Soonly do I hope you get there. A dash all the way from Trinidad. A dash. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for coming to the channel today. It's always a pleasure to see you, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. JJ, does a tuned antenna in this way perform the same as a proper linked antenna? No, there's different. A tuned antenna is a proper linked antenna. That's what it is. If you've tuned it, if you've cut the radials, all right, and you've got a proper radiator, it is tuned. But if you're just using random wire, then it's not. That's the difference. And that's where if you're going to use like something like that, let's say it's a flagpole or a piece of, steel or aluminum, whatever you're using, right, out in the field, that's where the remote tuner will help. Yeah, good question, JJ. It's pretty good. So good to see you guys, and thank you very, very much for coming. Question from official VA3DLO, and thank you very much for coming. I appreciate seeing you. If I use RG213 at 100 watts, question mark, I don't have the answer on RG213. I can, in the description section, I'll have the calculators down below. So you can take a look at that yourself. It'll check any coax that's commercially made. So you'll have the calculator. Good question, and thank you for asking. Good stuff. Yeah, you'll be able to do that. And you can run different coax calculations. So if you want to use 213 or RG8X, because I've used 213 too, and I understand it's a good coax. It really is. It's just that over the years, what I've tried to do the last few years is just move everything to LMR 400. And I still have some of the small stuff, I'll be honest. Cliff Bolts is here. Hi, Cliff. Good to see you from the state of Virginia. Whiskey Delta 4, Oscar Bravo Papa. Welcome to the show. As always, welcome to the show. All right. So we'll be getting together here, and you know what? It is nice camouflage. Gunter, it's really cool. It's funny. When we rebuilt our home, right, from the fire, we did a lot of outside upgrades too. And it was really, the house looks really nice when it was all done. And people didn't say much, but man, we put up a flagpole in the front, and everybody's like, man, that's an awesome looking flagpole. Thanks for putting that up, but it's nice. CQDX. Oh, hi, New Zealand. It's great. Anyway, good to see you guys today. Thank you for coming. I do mean that from around the world. It's a joy to see you guys. And, work your DX tonight. It looks like we're getting a K index going to rise, and that's simply because of the coronal hole that's coming our way. So if you're going to work some DX tonight, maybe part of tomorrow could be a really optimal day to do it. SFI numbers up to 80, and the K index is still kind of workable, but it's getting unstable now. Earlier this morning, it was in a K3. Now it's K4. And that goes down to K3. So things are kind of bouncing around there in the geomag field. So we're getting to be a little bit noisy out there on the bands. Please keep your headphones low. It'll keep your hearing long. You'll be very glad you did, okay? There you go. All right. Appreciate y'all being here today. And thank you very much. What is this? Larry put a sticker with a comic dog that says, "Don't poop on my grass." Did I really do that? I don't remember.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wile E. Coyote. Genius.
Not sure about that. Not sure about that. Anyway, I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you so much. And David, thank you for the nice comment. This is very kind. What a great, profound episode about coax loss when the match is not 1-1-1. Hope people listen and understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, literally, this is, I hope, a really helpful episode for you to know not only the importance of tuning at the antenna and why remote antenna tuners exist, but also the importance of good quality feed line. I've always said that's the most important part of your shack because it's the piece you're not going to change out usually. You just don't do it. So if you get good quality feed line, keep the ends of it dry. If you're going to change antennas, make sure and keep the other end dry so it doesn't get water in it. But man, you've got something that'll last for a long time and give you good results because it doesn't have a very high loss factor. So, but on those verticals, please, when you're using something that's a multi-band non-resonant antenna, make sure you tune it at the antenna. You should be fine. All right, guys, I think we're going to call it a day because this is actually a special day for me. So I'm going to move on. And I'm going to wish you the very best from Oregon. I thank you profoundly for coming. It's a joy to do the show for you guys nearly every day. I think Tom, are you still here? Tom, yep, Tom's here. All right. Tom, thanks for the advice. Tom said, Larry, I think maybe don't do the Sunday show. Give yourself a day off. I think we're going to do that. So we're just going to take Sundays off and make it a day for me to just kind of, then we'll be okay. So Sundays, no shows. We'll go Monday through Saturday, and we'll keep the shows going. First of all, I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank the moderators, Rod, Gunter, and Tom. You guys are always just right on top of your doggone game. Thank you. Thank you. It is such a joy to see you guys today. Thank you. Sorry we're a little late today. You could tell a ton of stuff was in here today regarding Feedline. And again, the calculators for Feedline loss, as well as the VSWR loss for mismatches at antennas, will be in the description section. From Oregon, my name's Larry. My call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. A pleasure to see you. Please remember to subscribe, and remember also those antenna tuners at the antenna site are pretty important. Until tomorrow at around 20 UTC, thanks for watching, everybody. God bless you, Oregon. Have a great day. For Ron in New Zealand, who made the call off the flagpole antenna on Saturday night, this sign-off's for you. Goodbye, everybody.
It's Good Night from Channel 2.
That's all, folks.